Hi everyone, I'm Carol Keller, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Illinois in the United States. And today I have for you the second of my two projects using parts or all of the Awash in Beauty suite. This card today includes the whole suite, the whole Awash in Beauty suite. So that includes the True Beauty bundle, which includes the True Beauty stamp set and the Organic Beauty dies, the Awash in Beauty 12 by 12 designer series paper, and some gorgeous iridescent rhinestone basic jewels. Those are all the components in the suite. We are also using the Botanical Layers bundle, which is an unusual bundle for Stampin' Up! In that it consists of a stamp set and some vellum. So hopefully you've seen my first video, which uses parts of the Awash in Beauty suite, and that is a simple card, so just including stamps, ink, and paper. This one, being stepped up or Avid, uses more product and is a little fancier. All right, let's get started. Here is the card for today's video. Again, it's Avid or stepped up because it is more than just stamping and using paper. We have some dies that we're using. We've added ribbon, embellishments, some embossing on the vellum. So that's why it's considered more of a stepped up project. So let's get started. I'm starting with a basic white card base, typical A2 size, or A4 of course works as well. And the first thing we're going to do is put on the first layer. For that, I have cut a piece of designer series paper from the Awash in Beauty 12 by 12 designer series paper. This is cut to the same size as the card front, so it is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, or in metric 10.5 by 14.9 centimeters. And we're just going to take some multi-purpose liquid glue and put it on the back. This one is getting low, but hopefully there will be enough. It's almost time for a new one. And the glue allows us to reposition if need be, so we can get it right matched up with the edges of the card front. Just like that. Press it down to help that glue adhere. The next layer is a layer of vellum, and it comes from the Lovely Layers vellum pack. So it's already pre-cut. It is 3 3/4 inches by 5. So it's already pre-cut, and it makes a slightly smaller second layer. I had originally cut a larger piece of vellum from our vellum cardstock, and that was 4 inches by 5 1/4, or 10 centimeters by 14.4. But it didn't show the designer series paper very well, so I liked using this piece because it's small and ready to go. I didn't have to cut it, and it will end up showing more of the designer series paper underneath. And as you know, vellum is hard to use an adhesive with because it shows on the back. So what we're going to end up doing is putting all of our components on the vellum first, and then once we turn it over, once everything is on there, we can see where we can put adhesive so it won't show. So that is the plan for the vellum, so we'll leave that aside. And now we're going to do some stamping. I have a scrap of basic white cardstock, and we're going to stamp with the idea that we will be then die cutting most of the components and punching one of them, which is the sentiment. And we will also be stamping on the inside of the card and the envelope as we go along. So let's do the inside first. For that, I'm using a stamp from the Botanical Layers stamp set that says "Thank you for everything." So like I said, we'll do that first so that that part will be done. I'm going to grab my polished pink ink. Tap, tap, tap. And we'll set that aside for now. And we'll do some more stamping. And like I said, this will be for the die cuts. Let's actually start with the sentiment because we have to put that at an end. So it's going to go, you can put it here or you can put it down at the bottom. It doesn't matter. I'll start with it down at the bottom. And the reason is that once we die cut, we're going to put this in the oval punch, the double oval punch. And let me just double check that that's going to work, that it's going to fit okay. And it is. And I don't want to punch it yet because I would lose that whole section of the basic white. So that's why we're going to punch last, and it will make more sense as I show you after we finish all of our stamping. But we're going to stamp the large flower in polished pink as well. And that is it for the polished paint. Next, I'm bringing in Saffron ink, and we are going to stamp this stamp from the set over here. And you're just leaving them spaced enough apart so that you can lay the dies, so that there won't be overlap, and you can die cut everything at once. And last, we'll use Balmy Blue for another flower in the set. And we will also use that on the inside of the card. And on the envelope. We like everything to coordinate. So that is it for our stamping. And before we die cut these, I'm going to lay those aside as well. And we're going to bring in another blank sheet of vellum from that Lovely Layers Vellum pack. And I'm going to bring in a scrap as well, because we're going to be coloring on the vellum with our blends. And I just don't want it to seep through on my work surface. So we're going to take, I have the same three colors of blends as I did in the inks. So we'll start with Balmy Blue, and I'm going to use the brush end, and I'm just going to color in about a third of that vellum, and we'll repeat it with Saffron. And you don't want to overlap, but there's plenty of room. You just need to do about a third, and then we'll finish up with the polished pink. The idea is that you're making enough room for the die, and I'll show you that. These are the dies that will be cut. So I just need it wide enough to cut one of these, and if you position it the right way, then you can actually get a second one, so you can use it to make two cards. But we want to cut this die from the blue, Balmy Blue, and from the Saffron, and then this die from the polished pink. And again, that fits right there. So just make sure, double check that you've made it wide enough before you run it through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And it does take a few seconds to dry, but actually it's pretty dry already. It looks like it's good to go. So I'm gonna run everything through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I'll be right back. All right, so now that we've cut out all the dies from here, we're going to punch with that double oval punch. And again, we're not wasting so much paper because we've used part of that basic white to die cut the flower. So we'll center it and punch it out. And then while we have the punch, we're going to take a scrap of Saffron and cut out the larger punch, the larger oval. And this is just wide enough to do it. I love using up my scraps. All right, and now we will start assembling. So again, we're going to place everything on the vellum. So we will start with our label and some Stampin' Seal. Center that. And we're going to place it right away in about the middle. And the one thing too, because we are going to tilt the vellum, if you want to, you can make it so that this is straighter, but I'm going to have it go with the vellum. So in other words, when I tilt it here, it will be a little bit tilted, but so if you wanted to, you could turn it this way, but I'm going to leave it so that it goes with the shape of the vellum. So you have your choice in that. I sort of was on the fence about which one to do. So we're going to center that and put it toward the right-hand side in the middle. And then for our flowers, everything is put on just with adhesives except for the polished pink flower. We're going to bump that up with dimensionals. Oh, and the next thing we want to do before we do that is grab our ribbon. So I'm using the open weave ribbon in polished pink, and I'm just going to make a loop that's going to go behind the label on the edge. Cut it at an angle. Whoops. I think my scissors may need sharpening. And then we're going to put a glue dot right in the center to hold the two ends together, creating that loop. And we're going to put another glue dot. You can put it on the front or the back, it doesn't matter, because we're going to just tuck it right under our sentiment a little bit, right around the edge, like that, so that we can place everything around it. And the ribbon may move a little, but we can reposition it. So then we will go to placement of these, and I'm going to put this over with the idea again that this is going to go here, probably at an angle so it doesn't overlap that label too much. So we'll put these on again with Stampin' Seal. We'll overlap that label a little bit. Yep, that will work. And we'll put our vellum in, and for those I just put some glue dots on the back where it will be hidden, so toward the bottom. And actually there's a little extra piece in there. So let me grab my glue dots again. And again, we'll put them where they'll be hidden, so it's easier to sort of tuck these in before we put the bigger flower on. And this one we're going to tuck on the bottom. So again, we can kind of position it around. Tuck that flower back. And the adhesive then won't show, hopefully, if we did it right. And then the same thing here, we're going to put a glue dot actually right at the base where the three sections start, and tuck that a little bit behind the ribbon, like that. And then last but not least, this one, and we'll do the same thing. And this time we'll overlap it on the outside. There isn't a wrong way, just whatever you feel works. And we will grab some dimensionals. If you wanted to, you could lay everything out first and get it to the way you like it, and then kind of move it off the vellum and then put it on in layers. I'm going to take the backing off, and we'll tilt that. Oh yeah, I like that. So that also helps hold the ribbon down. It helps hold some of the other elements down a little bit, whatever's behind the dimensionals. And then we're going to take this now, and we can put adhesive on the back anywhere. We can use our Stampin' Seal anywhere we see that that vellum is covered. So behind some of the larger elements where we know it's not going to show, and then it will hold to the card and the adhesive won't show. So we're going to turn it at an angle. So even though this is a stepped up card, it comes together pretty quickly. We're actually almost done. The only thing we have left, two things. One is our iridescent rhinestone basic jewels that I'm going to add with my Take Your Pick tool. Fabulous tool. I use the putty end for placement. So I'm going to take a large one and put it in the center of that large flower. And then smaller ones scattered around the card, including on the sentiment label, just so that it draws your eye around and all the beautiful elements of the card. And then one more down here. And then as a finishing touch, because again, it is a stepped up and fancy card, I'm bringing in my Wink of Stella. And I use that on all of the components here. So the flowers and the vellum die cuts. So, and I'm kind of doing the same color first. So I'll do that polished pink, because you can see it bleeds a little bit. It actually bled a little bit on the vellum, but that doesn't bother me because I want my sparkle. And then a little more here. And you can always, when it dries, go back and add another layer. And then I'm going to take that scrap again And I'm just going to wipe here in case there's any pink left. And now we'll use it on the blue. Clean it again and use it on the Saffron. Clean it one more time. And then again, like I said, we can go back afterwards. There is some good sparkle. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I see it already. But if there are places where I feel like it needs more sparkle, I can go back once it dries. Oh, I think I forgot the blue one up here, actually. We have to do this one. There's no sparkle on that. I noticed it right away. So you can do just the edges like this, or you can even fill in on the stems. But I think that adds just so nice of a finishing touch to this card. So that is it. That is our card for today. I hope you like it. Make sure that you check out my video on the other card that I made using some of these products. Here is the card, and it is simple stamping. So we just used stamps, ink, and paper. There's the envelope for that when I use the larger flower. And it is just, like I said, stamps, ink, and paper. So there's a video for how to do this one. It is very quick and very simple, but with the designer series paper, I think it's very beautiful, and we like that it's easy. That's a bonus. So check out that video, and I will show you the components that I use to make this card. I use the entire Awash and Beauty suite of products. So that includes the True Beauty stamp set and the Organic Beauty dies, which are here. And I have yet to use this one, but that is next on my list. I'm very excited to use that. I could have used it today, but I decided to use the Vellum instead. Maybe I could cut it out in Vellum. I'll have to try that. So as you can see with all these dies, it cuts out all of these components of the set, and then plus you have the sentiment, so it's a nice versatile set. And I think the star of the show is the Awash and Beauty Designer Series paper. Here it is. So I use this one on that simple card, but all of the designs are so beautiful. I love the color palette. It's definitely a favorite of mine. And then on the back, of course, some coordinating colors, and this being the one that we use today. I've used this on another card, just beautiful papers. And then the last component of the suite is those iridescent rhinestone basic jewels. So there are 3 sizes, large, medium, and small. In addition to that, I use the Botanical Layers bundle. So this is the stamp set that we got that thank you for everything from. And this is an unusual bundle in that it comes with vellum instead. So there are actually 60 sheets of vellum. You get 5 of each of these. And then you get 40 blank sheets, which is what we use, just like this. And that's what we use to emboss the vellum. And to emboss the vellum, we use the Cascading Ruffles 3D embossing folder. I love this one. It's so pretty. So that's what made our wonderful embossing on the background on that vellum. And I think that is everything. So those were all the, oh, and we use, of course, Twink of Stella and our ribbon. That polished pink open weave ribbon. So those are the last components of the card. So we did more, obviously, than we would for a simple stamping card, but sometimes it pays to spend a little more time. And honestly, this came together a lot more quickly than I would have expected. So it's easy to even mass produce these, and you have a lovely card to give to a friend. So thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you watching very much. Check out my other videos. I have other cards, again, using the suite and using many other Stampin' Up! Products. I do scrapbook pages, paper pumpkin alternatives every month. I have tips and techniques, and now some beginner videos. So if you've never stamped before, check those out. Home decor items, all sorts of things that hopefully you will find something to love when you watch them. So if you want to leave me some love in the comments, I appreciate that as well. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. If you click on the button, you'll be notified when I post new videos. Thank you again for joining me. If you want to be added to my email list, I will send you a free PDF. My email is in the description. Just let me know when you email me that you found me on YouTube, and I will send you that PDF and add you to my mailing list. So thanks again for joining me, everyone, and I will see you again soon. Happy stamping.